what are key skills for data science teams to develop or to acquire to effectively work within TinyML?
Like I said before, quantization and compression are quite important, but that's something that a lot of teams already do when it comes to, for example, LLMs and things like that. They're not just going with the full bore system. They're usually quantizing it or compressing it in some way to lower cost and lower latency. And so that's not a completely foreign concept, but really understanding the hardware constraints, because it's not a one size fits all. There's so many different types of hardware that you might want to have these things run on. So you have to really know specifically about that hardware, whether it's some sort of embedded system, microcontroller, like I said, Raspberry Pi that's more ARM based, or with the CPU, a mobile phone or something like that. And so you have to have a lot of understanding when it comes to the constraint and how to get things running there. You have to know about the TinyML specific frameworks and tools, which are changing a lot. There's a lot of dead projects, but a lot of new projects coming out there. I have a lot of hope for some of the new stuff coming out. I'm very excited about that, and I actually can't wait to try it. I was actually glad to see that something new has been released. I haven't checked this in a while, and so just to do some research here, I found out that there's actually something exciting that I'm probably going to try out in the next few weeks. So that's something very exciting. But you have to really know a lot of different things about this, both from the modeling side, the hardware side, optimization of your models, because you have to be really ruthless about optimizing these models. And it's definitely something that takes a lot of practice. And I don't think there's a lot of good tutorials, honestly, out there. It's something you just have to try and fail at a lot. But that's exactly how it was with ML in modern parlance in the last 10 years, 12 years
Yeah.
ago. There was no like, okay, this is how you get it running. Just getting a model training on a GPU 8 years ago, 10 years ago was really challenging. So I think it's, like I said, a parallel to that.
Yeah. And I guess you touched on like skill set of obviously Rust and C++, obviously is not as common as other programming languages. Do you see like data scientists acquiring them skills, or do you think it'd be like the C++ Rust developers adding like the data science sort of skill set to their resume?
Oh, wow, that's such a good question. I think it's a bit of both, because the term data scientist in its purest form doesn't include anything with ML ops. It doesn't include anything with being an ML engineer or a data engineer. But those terms, I think a lot of times for these roles get muddled. And I've seen a lot of things with whether it's requirements for jobs, CVs, etc., where people add in a lot of these extra things, whereas a data scientist is something else. And I think there's a huge merging of these roles, and people just have these different titles with whatever their preference is. But whatever you call them, at the end of the day, they kind of have to have these skills. However, I can see definitely the appeal of having dedicated developers. Just like you have front end and back end developers, the same would be true with TinyML solution on devices, that you have people who are very specialized in embedded devices with engineering, like system engineering for that, and things like that, or people who have a lot of experience with Rust or C++ or whatever language you want to develop that in. But I can see some other people getting interested in this. I do have a couple of friends who know Rust who are also data scientists. It's a mixed bag, but I think in the end, all there's a huge convergence on these roles and titles anyway.
Yeah, as it gets more popular, I guess you kept like anything, you get more deeper into it, can you? Be more specialist in this. So only time will tell.
Yeah, we see roles for LLM engineers now, and I've seen things like that very specifically, and that's something that didn't exist a while ago. So yeah, I think on one side, it's definitely getting more specialized, but the kind of overall understanding that people have to have as a data scientist nowadays is just insane compared to 10 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
It's really
definitely.
crazy. It's really ballooned up. And I think that's something where when people are like trying to study for interviews or something, it becomes a real monumentous task of going back to university for, right? And but I think that's another podcast.
Yeah, you can't obviously with data science is just broad now. And even 2 years ago, there was it was more techie data science type of roles. Now you're getting like data science with the product element. Obviously now you've got data science with LLMs is obviously really popular. It is evolving, so I think it's obviously important for you tech experts. You've got to continuously improve and develop and learn new skills, or you can just be left behind, can't you?
Oh, of course, like 10 years ago, if you just had a degree in math or physics and you could just show up without any programming like
Yeah, it's the job.
experience or anything, and then you got hired. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if you could do anything in a Jupyter notebook with Python and maybe something like that, that you were pretty much hired. And nowadays you have to be like a full stack developer, it feels like, plus a data scientist at the same time. It's a bit crazy. And I hope that we can get a bit of handle on this specialization that, like you said, that people become more specialized and that we don't have such general expectations for data scientists. I would like to see that. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know if it keeps going like this, you're going to have to do everything, I think. Maybe ChatGPT or something like that could just help you. I don't know.
Interesting times. And I guess then on the